the top of our day, we have an expert to talk on Bhutan's Gross National Happiness Index, which is GNH instead of the focus that we have on GNP, right? Dasho Karma-Ura is the president of the Center for Bhutan Studies, a research center that's focused on GNH. He's earned degrees from Magdalen College in Oxford, my alma mater, and Edinburgh University. He was awarded the ancient title of Dasho by His Majesty the Fourth Druk of Gyalpo, another thing I've probably butchered. His essays and articles have appeared in international journals, magazines, and books. And interestingly enough, he is also a painter who has designed temple murals and large-scale silk tanka. Thank you. A warm round of applause for Dasho Karma.
It's working? Thank you very much for having me in this spectacular gathering. I'd like to thank especially Suzy, Ili, and Poonam who brought me here. I prepared a few slides for this, and here you see that not only us, primates were interested in spa long before. But the idea of grooming and personal care is not just for sake of appearance, I think. I think it's also to bring consciousness back into your body in an integrative and in a non-narcissistic way, because we can be alienated not only from others but ourselves. And that is a very good reconciliation we have to do very often. But, you know, our consciousness, as I said, can escape ourselves. But I also like to now ask you to bring your consciousness back into this meeting room, if it has escaped. The triangular relationship between causes of happiness, skill for happiness, and consequences of happiness or benefits of happiness is a very important one for movement of happiness. They are interlocked. People are very eager to know about or trace the causes of happiness, but when it comes to commitment to cultivating skills so that you can capture the benefits, they are rather reluctant, whether it is in Bhutan or elsewhere. So, but I'm going to talk about this trinity, cause, consequence, and skills. There's also three benefits, as I just mentioned: health and longevity, benefits of happiness, or sort of increasing happiness in order to make people inclined towards communality and sociality. But there is also the creative effect of being happy. If you're already happy, it is quite most likely that you will also be creative. Creativity and intelligence, as you all know, is a very different thing. Intelligence is being able to respond efficiently and quickly to set questions. But creativity is a very meandering process in order to bring two unconnected ideas together or to invent new questions to which you answer yourself. But there is also a possibility of another benefit of generating happiness or well-being, and that is that there can be ecological benefit. You know, the sense of emptiness that we feel leave us very much wanting as a pervasive phenomena for things, and that can lead to explosion of consumption, which then leads to transgression of the planetary boundaries, which you see already has been exceeded. But if you can create before already happy societies and happy individuals, it is our contention that it would also have huge ecological sustainability benefits. But these are for individual things. When we come to applying concepts of happiness, well-being, or gross national happiness, not narrowly defined as a psychological state of anxiety or depression or something like this, but in a holistic, eudaimic, or flourishing sense, then we need 3 more tools. We need, of course, we need indicators of the past, that is baseline indicators. We need indicators of the future, which is to arrive at a value or a target. And in between, we also need to equip organizations, big decision makers, with other sets of decision-making tools to bridge between these past and future indicators. And this is done in gross national happiness in this manner. For example, when a project or a activity is being proposed, then the decision makers has to apply something which is called the gross national happiness screening tools. I'm just a humble researcher doing boring things like surveys and constructing indicators, but here is the true proponent of gross national happiness since the 70s, the 4th king of Bhutan on the left side, and the 5th king of Bhutan is on the other side. From the point of view of well-being and happiness in a multidimensional sense, the real purpose of government or real purpose of any leader at the top of, sitting on the top of any organization is really to minimize unhappiness, minimize adversities to happiness. And to do that, you have to know where are the people who are unhappy, who is unhappy, and most importantly, why are they unhappy? Not only from material poverties, but there are many different types of poverty, including psychological and time poverty, so on and so forth. So that is the real purpose of leadership. And dare I say, also purpose of state, which is committed to dissolving suffering, tension, and dissatisfaction that is pervasive in the world. We are very much blessed people, I am sure, in this hall, but there are many others whose life is not illuminated enough. For leadership, the timeless qualities of a leader who is addressing himself or herself to dissolving sorrows and adversity to happiness, the most important timeless qualities are compassion, strength, and knowledge. But knowledge, the apex knowledge is knowledge of how to tackle sufferings of various kinds, not other kind of knowledge which are subsidiary and means to that problem solution. Here you see our trajectory of life from birth to death and the trajectory can be split really into 3 parts: the work-life trajectory, the non-work-life trajectory, and the sleep trajectory. Here you see the trajectory of work life. It peaks at midlife because we have to work quite hard, and then as a result of that and additional factors, a crisis of so-called midlife unfolds. And this is proven also by the subjective well-being curve in this case, which is very deep for women compared to men. But that curve is derived from a very simple unidimensional scale of life satisfaction. Here, however, we see the categorization of population of Bhutan from the point of view of GNH. And its experience of happiness is never nothing or all. It is always graded by depth and breadth of happiness. And here you see deeply happy are 8%, but about 47% are narrowly happy. That is the sort of descriptive of the situation like mine, which is very edgy and nevertheless comfortable. I also show a humble painting of mine. here in order to emphasize that although we never discuss the role of color in well-being and happiness, in my opinion, it is a very important one from the point of view of aestheticism, from the point of view of healing, but also from the point of view of activating very lethargic psychology to which we all think very often. So the GNH as a holistic concept purports to be represented by wheel. Of course, this is the wheel of eightfold path, but anything that presupposes itself to be holistic must always address well-being by definition to me, and it also must apply globally, and it must speak to the multiple needs of human being, from culture, spirituality, economics, health, education, communal life, and so on and so forth. And it must be relevant for not just short period for a small country or so. It must be relevant for somewhat longer period, such as 1,000 years or so. Now, in the current jargon, you would say that happiness and well-being really accrues from this kind of capital or resources on which our well-being, welfare, etc. depends. The point here is that economic capital is valued well, also prized so much, but it is very much parasitic on other kind of resources and capital. So the wheel of GNH, for example, now encompasses all necessary elements of well-being and happiness. So the red ones are fairly conventional ones, blue ones are emergingly important, but the wheel now takes a very different turn, for example, by including psychological well-being, community vitality, culture, and above all, time use, which applies to all of us every 24 hours. And we can break down the results of the gross national happiness when it applies to organization or society by rural-urban resistance, by gender, by occupation, by age group, and so on and so forth. And so we find this sort of decomposition very useful because it shows us what are the trades of going in a society which is in rapid transition, which is the one which should be slowed down and which is the one which should be speeded up for some quarters of the country. These are the purpose of GNH, for example, really to bring it down to managerial tools so that resource allocation also is decided by GNH. So the indicators of GNH are to set the society in a somewhat holistic and well-being direction, but we are ruled today, I think almost captured our imagination by indicators which are grossly rooted in economics and material living. So the first thing to change really in order to change society is to change indicators, because the indicators underlying them, concealed by them, are different types of values. The relationship between happiness and the 9 domains and the subdomains or variables under them are normally posited to be linear, but as you know, in real life, they are very multilinear, collinear, and directions also may be multi. If you look at the causes of happiness, which people are very quick to find out because they want to apply it to themselves, is this sort of thing all over the world. When we aggregate the causes at a very broad level, it is not very distinct. Income, health, family relationship are perennial quest of amongst the causes. Apart from income and health, rest seems to be really about relationship. But you can also argue that income and health is really a product of relationship. And if the network of relationship change, that also will change. So relationship, I think, is at the core. In a manner of speaking, even happiness is doesn't lie either in you or the other person. It lies in the middle of the ongoing relationship, and if that takes a negative turn, then both sides is affected. If you see the regression results of the significant factors for happiness, you find again the same three things, but we also find through research in Bhutan now that meditation, which you emphasize over the last few days, and reduction of negative emotions, being able, that means have the time and the opportunity and the culture to socialize vigorously, and also to be able to trust others, of course, which means that you have to be trustworthy yourself first. These are very much important one. Midlife crisis, nobody has found a way to skip it, but the important lesson is that what are the tensions that plague midlife? We can do something about it once we deconstruct it. Social time in Bhutan, for example, 34% of Bhutanese spend 63 minutes, and the rest do it on other days. And we can sort of disaggregate causes. I will only go into three non-income sources of happiness: psychological well-being, time use, communal vitality, because we have no time. But the sort of idea over here, which is a non-income source of happiness, is that the negative emotions should be lowered and positive emotions should be boosted. And the idea behind spirituality and meditation, this is associated with positive emotions. That is why we also survey and measure them. In the GNH view, the human beings are postulated or assumed to be fundamentally good. As you know, it's also a Buddhist assumption, but it is repressed by blinding things like anger, fear, selfishness, so on and so forth. And that has to be systematically tackled at individual and societal level. If you see the simple measures of emotional balance, we already notice that the prevalence of this negative emotion is quite high in capital city of Thimphu, TP. And I wonder whether this is true of New Delhi also. So this is the idea, again, that dissatisfaction with the domains of your life, such as health, job, family relationship, etc., can be sort of enlarged by enlarging positive emotions. Negative emotions, if you see, is quite, greater among female. Oh, I finished my time? It's okay, so I will mechanically flash the thing here. So I like to end on so I like to say in the last 1 minute that time is an independent element of well-being, happiness, and GNH. But we never experience time objectively, only machines do. We always have illusions of these two kinds. And the effect of time on well-being and happiness depends on where you belong in this dichotomous map of the social and economic construction of time. If you are on the wrong half of the time, you will be unhappy. Eventually, I think the experience of well-being and happiness, no doubt, is experiential, but it is experiential in two ways. Either experiencing it directly now or remembering the experience. And of course, there is discrepancy between these two due to various reason. But I saw that you emphasize meditation, and the idea of meditation I would like to boil down to two things. That is, it is not only to arrest the wandering of your bewildered mind for various reasons, but it is also to experience the shortest possible moment of time, that is momentariness, which you are, that momentariness is even shorter than the momentariness of your awareness of that moment. And through meditation, you can at least try to make your mind cognize only the shortness of time, the shortest possible moment, and nothing else. And that might open an experience of some sort of bliss and emptiness together. Thank you very much.